How would you feel if I brought you home, velcroed you to a board so you couldn't go anywhere, jammed wires into both of your sides, and then totally ignore you except when I want you to do something? But instead of asking nicely or maybe gently pushing a button to get you to do it, I stomp on your freaking head. How would that make you feel? This is the question you need to be asking yourself every time you trample on one of your guitar pedals. You might think that they're inanimate objects incapable of having feelings, but according to scientists at the Institute for Resoundingly Unsound Sound Design Research, guitar pedals actually do have feelings. So, in this video, I'm sounding the alarm. Join me as I sound off on guitar pedals and their feelings. Number 1. Wah pedal. A better name would have been Y pedal, because every time you step on yours and rock it back and forth, it asks itself, why me? Why do you stand on me for minutes on end, treating me like I'm a seesaw? You don't do that with any of your other pedals. Your wah pedal's got a point. You don't. Which is why it feels lonely and alienated, on top of already having a melancholy personality to begin with. These things are just plain sad all around. Every time you use one, they immediately start sobbing. Wah wah, boo hoo. I mean, on the one hand, I get it. All that rocking back and forth can't be good for your joints. I've been living with a rare form of arthritis for decades, and my joints snap, crackle, and pop like a bowl of Rice Krispies every time I move. But as much as they sometimes hurt, you don't see me crying like a baby. Yet every wah pedal I've ever owned whined like a little bitch every time I swayed it up and down with my foot, no matter how gently. Wah pedals get even sadder as they age when they realize that all that rocking is going to shorten their lifespan. They definitely break far more often than other pedals. But unlike most of them, wah pedals tend to get used less and less often as time goes on. When you first get one, you're wah-wahing away every day. Back and forth, your foot will sway. But over time, it gets less and less play, which is why I say your wah pedal is gloomy and gray. That pedal is not okay and would off itself today if only it could find a way. Number 2. Distortion Pedal. If wah-wahs are the whiny wimps of the pedal world, distortion pedals are angsty teenagers always screaming for attention. They actually like getting stomped on because all distortion pedals suffer from middle child syndrome. Since their little brother, Overdrive, has a milder sound and their big brother, Metal Zone, has a much more intense sound, those pedals tend to get used way more often. Which is why distortion pedals make all sorts of sounds as they desperately beg for your attention. Distortion pedals like the Boss DS1 and MXR Plus have been dealing with a major identity crisis in recent years. Since lots of digital amplifiers and amp sims now have built-in distortion, and since there are tons of more niche, high-gain pedals out there, generic middle-of-the-road distortion pedals no longer get the amount of love they once enjoyed. So, many of them find themselves unemployed and annoyed, screaming into the void like some schizoid android. Since your distortion pedal is an angsty adolescent, every time you step on it, whether you want it to or not, it's going to give you all sorts of feedback. Now personally, I don't take advice from guitar pedals, but that hasn't stopped my DS1 from giving me lots of unsolicited feedback every time I use the thing, which is why I almost never do. I already take enough shit from the people in my life and from you assholes in the comments to have to hear it from one of my guitar pedals too. But if I am gonna have one of my pedals screaming at me, it sure as hell ain't gonna come from some angsty teen. It's gonna come from a metal-making machine. Number 3. Metal Pedal. Boss's Metal Zone pedal came out in 1991, 13 years after the DS1 distortion pedal, yet somehow the Metal Zone pedal turned out to be its meaner big brother. Don't ask me how that's possible, it just is. Just like how Boss's Metal Zone pedal and similar metal pedals from other brands are all angry monsters on the outside but insecure pussies on the inside. Just like most metal fans. Metal pedals have an inferiority complex, which is why they're always viciously trying to prove themselves. You can't introduce one of these things to your pedal board and expect it to play nicely with the others. The second you stomp on your metal pedal, it's gonna bite the head off everything that came before it in the signal chain and kick the shit out of everything that comes after. You know how you spent all afternoon dialing the settings of your overdrive, distortion, and fuzz pedals, crafting the perfect tone? The second you stomp on your metal pedal, no matter how modest the thing is set, it overpowers all your other pedals so much that you can't even hear the difference between them being on and being bypassed. Metal pedals have anger problems and are always picking fights. You can't go 2 seconds without yours calling your overdrive pedal a pussy or making fun of your wah pedal for being a whiny little bitch box. And every time you stomp your metal pedal off and start playing clean, it rags on you for having a, quote, beta male tone. I don't blame metal pedals for being angry. I do blame them for their harsh tone and for that awful scooped mids nu metal sound I associate them with. But not for being angry, because they've got plenty of reasons to be. For starters, like all distortion pedals, metal pedals are gradually being replaced by amp sims. And in the case of Boss's Metal Zone pedal, even though it's their second best-selling pedal, it's angry because the DS1 is number 1, which is why your metal pedal is ready to go one-on-one at any time with anyone. Number 4. Delay Pedal. You know how you've got that annoying friend who repeats everything you say? This is that friend in pedal form. Delay pedals are essentially parrots, but unlike the bird, which will immediately stop parroting you the second you stomp on one, that's precisely when delay pedals start repeating everything you say. Delay pedals are all about nostalgia. These things are stuck living in the past, the very, very recent past. But unlike, say, your dad who repeats the same few stories about his high school football glory days that happened decades ago, delay pedals repeat what you just played at most a few seconds ago, which can be a cool effect when used correctly. But more often than not, all delay pedals do is remind you of every note you botch a couple hundred milliseconds after doing so, then again a couple hundred milliseconds after that, and again a couple hundred after that. Besides living in the past, delay pedals are also living in a perpetual state of anxiety about the present. They're afraid to be silent, yet are also afraid to say anything original. Analog delay pedals are afraid of being replaced by digital delays, yet digital delay pedals are afraid that they'll never sound good as their analog counterparts. And on top of all that anxiety, delay pedals often feel inadequate, like they're never enough, because they're not, which is why you don't just have one delay pedal. You've got a tape delay, a ping-pong delay, and a slapback delay. And all three take the fact that you've got the other two pedals as proof of their individual inadequacies. And if you've got this next time-based pedal on your board, it'll only add to your delay's anxieties. Number 5, Reverb Pedal. There's really only one thing that reverb pedals feel: depressed. For starters, they know that there's nothing unique about them. All reverb is thousands of variously timed delays that either capture or simulate the sound of a room, which is why reverb pedals sit around ruminating, get it? Ruminating, all the time, reflecting over and over and over again about the past. Another thing that makes reverb pedals depressed is the fact that, unlike all the other pedals I've mentioned, reverb is a naturally occurring effect. Unless you're like playing the guitar while skydiving, you're going to experience some level of natural reverb. If you're indoors, your sound will reflect off ceilings and floors, desks and dresser drawers, closed windows and doors, and so much more. Even outside, a tree, a hillside, or any object with which sound waves collide as they travel wide, they'll be multiplied and back to you as they glide with natural reverb applied. You couldn't escape it even if you tried. To make matters worse, other guitar pedals hate reverbs because they fuck up their sound. You think your Metal Zone pedal wants to sound like it's being used in the middle of a cathedral? Of course not. Metal and church don't mix. Unless you're metal church. But you're not. You're a dude with guitar pedals. And I'd suggest keeping a close eye on your reverb pedal, because if it doesn't stop ruminating on its convoluted past, there's a good chance it springs into action, runs down the hall, into another room, and grabs the piece you keep hidden in the kitchen behind a stack of plates, loads one in the chamber, and ends it all in an instant. Or so it hopes. But your reverb pedal's death will happen at a slow rate because it takes a long time for all those reverberations to finally dissipate. Do you want to show off your love of music with a comfortable, stylish, and affordable t-shirt like this one? How about one of these? You can find shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, and other awesome music-related products at musicbesharp.com. Whether you want to help support this channel or just want to get your hands on some cool, high-quality music-related merch, get your ass over to musicbesharp.com. musicbesharp.com. Number 6, Chorus Pedal. These things are indecisive, wishy-washy, hippy-dippy pedals that like to think of themselves as being philosophical and deep. And if you want your guitar to sound like it's being played deep underwater next to another guitar playing the exact same thing, slightly out of time and tune, get yourself a chorus pedal soon. 99% of chorus pedals bought in the 90s were to play a single song. The first one I learned to play on guitar, Come As You Are. But as chorus pedal owners come to the conclusion that this pedal is 99% useless, these pedals will eventually end up sitting as they are, unused in the back of a closet for all eternity. Though the washed-out sound of chorus pedals were extremely popular in the 1980s, nowadays the career of these pedals are pretty much washed up. But these trippy hippie pedals won't tear up because they're too fucked up from all the joints they rolled up to realize that their usefulness has dried up. The only reason to use a chorus pedal that I can think of is if you wanted to simulate seasickness to make yourself throw up. Number 7, Flanger Pedal. More than anything, flanger pedals feel misunderstood. Can't say I blame them since I don't understand these pedals and neither do most other guitarists. Flangers are basically an identity crisis in stomp box form. What even am I? Am I just a chorus pedal with a shorter delay? Or am I just a phaser pedal with extra steps? Flanger pedals are actually kinda both, kinda neither. Like phaser and chorus pedals, flangers use modulation to create their effect. And when used in moderation, they all kinda sound alike. But when you crank a flanger pedal settings, these things kinda sound like someone whooshing past you at 1,000 miles per hour on a bike. If there was a way to describe their sound with an image, a Nike swoosh is what it'd look like. Flanger pedals are all over the place. One second they're high as hell, the next second they're feeling lower than low. I suppose I'd be all over the place too if I was always questioning my identity. A chorus pedal knows what it's supposed to do. Make one guitar sound like a chorus of them. And a phaser pedal knows what it's supposed to do. Phase shift. But what the hell is a flanger pedal supposed to do? Flange? I think we should rename these things something more fitting like flusher pedals. That would help both guitarists as well as the pedals themselves understand their purpose and in their long-standing identity crisis once and for all. What are you? I'm a flusher pedal. What do you do? I sound like a toilet flushing. See how easy that was to understand? The only thing that would remain a mystery is why so many of us guitarists continue to flange money down the drain on pedals we barely ever use. Number 8. Tuner pedal. These pedals can't help but feel that you're ashamed of them, just like you are the fat girl you've been dating. Even though you hang out with her before going out with your friends, text her several times while out, and then go back to her place afterwards, you still haven't introduced her to them. Just like how you only use your tuner pedal before going on stage and in between songs, but never during them. In fact, it's the only pedal of yours that never gets used while performing. You ever stop to think how that makes your tuner pedal feel? Of course not, you insensitive bastard. It feels lonely and left out, just like your fat girlfriend would if it wasn't for the fact that she's also sleeping with your band's drummer. Since, unlike me, both of you pussies are too insecure to publicly admit that you like thick women, she plays both of you better than either of you play your instrument. But this isn't about you, your drummer, or the STD you two have been unknowingly exchanging. It's about your poor tuner pedal. These things are just sorry all around. They feel sorry for themselves because they never get used while performing. But they also feel sorry for you because, well, you own a tuner pedal. The only good reason to buy one is if you already own every single other type of pedal on the planet and need a tuner pedal to complete your collection. Otherwise, you're just flanging money down the toilet because there are tons of guitar tuning apps for both iOS and Android absolutely free. Number 9. Octave Pedal. If you want to make your expensive guitar sound like a cheap piece of shit bass being played through a blown speaker, or if you want to make your guitar sound like it just huffed 8 balloons full of helium, get yourself an octave pedal. These bipolar stomp boxes are a non-stop roller coaster ride of emotions. One minute they're up, the next minute they're down. Before you know it, they're up again. The only thing these pedals aren't is stable. To make matters worse, your octave pedal feels like you're only adding to its mental health issues. You could give it the equivalent of an electronic mood stabilizer by keeping the pitch shift set to 0. But you don't want an emotionally stable octave pedal any more than Mike Tyson's trainer wanted him to be an emotionally stable boxer. Before fights, Iron Mike's trainer would take the bipolar boxer off his mood stabilizer, turning him into a wild, ferocious, ear-biting maniac. Just like you're always either cranking your octave pedal up to have an ear-shattering attack, or down so the sound is like listening to Barry White yak after chugging a bottle of Ipecac. While digital octave pedals are usually bipolar, capable of both manic highs and depressed lows, analog ones are just straight depressed. Trust me, these things aren't going to do anything except bring you down. But there's another type of guitar pedal that is so mentally ill, it makes metal pedals seem chill, delays like they're standing still, and wah-wahs like they just ate a handful of happy pills. Number 10. Multi-effects pedal. If you think your other pedals got problems, they pale in comparison. Your multi-effects pedal's got 99 problems, 99 submenus, a 99-page user manual, and is totally hated by your other 9 pedals. They see it as a show-off and feel threatened by it because your multi-effects pedal can do everything they can do and more. If they only knew how tormented these things are on the inside. After psychoanalyzing my own multi-effects pedal, I can tell you that these things have got some serious psychopathology going on. For starters, they all suffer from multiple personality disorder. One minute they think they're a delay pedal, the next minute they think they're a flanger, and the next a fuzz pedal. And they are all those things and more. What no multi-effects pedal is easy to use. If there was such a thing as a complication pedal, this would be it. On top of having a dissociative disorder, multi-effects pedals also suffer from imposter syndrome. They feel like they're just imitating what your other pedals do. And those feelings are totally justified because that's exactly what multi-effects pedals do. They imitate all your other easy-to-use pedals, but in the most complicated way possible. Multi-effects pedals are truly a jack of all trades, master of none. They try to be everything to everyone, but usually end up doing nothing because no one has fun with these pedals in the long run. You invest a ton and buy one, but after a short run, you're done. You realize learning to use the multi-effects pedal is a battle that can't be won, and wish the time you wasted could be undone. Stunned by its complication, you go back to individual pedals as your poor multi-effects pedal gets shunned, and you're stuck with it forever because you waited too long to get a refund. Just because your guitar pedals aren't carbon-based like you doesn't mean their little silicone brains can't feel. Probably. They might not be made of flesh and blood, but they're just as whiny and emotional as the rest of us. And this is the part where you whiny humans tell me that I forgot to include your beloved compression, fuzz, phaser pedal, or whatever. Tell me in the comments what other pedals you've got and how they feel about being left off the list. Do they feel dissed? Do they feel pissed? Maybe someday I'll make a part 2 to this list, because I'm not just a guitarist, I'm also a guitar pedal psychologist. If you like this shirt, it's available in lots of colors and sizes at musicbsharp.com, along with lots of other awesome music-related merch. Link in the description. And if you'd like to hear some of the music I recorded with some of these pedals, check out my album Denialism, or search for this dude on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else you listen to music.